It's hump day. We got to start sometime. All right, people, come on now. Hi, how are you? Welcome to a lovely afternoon. I have to say, can I start off right out of the gate? You know, I have a pinned tweet on my Twitter that in many ways you could count as the first semi-official Sparksism, which, if you're not familiar, is it doesn't matter where your heart is at if your head is up your ass. Basically, I'm paraphrasing, but that's, and I never have I seen more of this than during the live stream viewing and the kind of tweet-a-thon around the Rittenhouse trial. I know, I got to fix that let's, but it's a screen size thing. I apologize. It's, folks, if you don't want to think things through, god damn it. It's garbaba. It's aggravating. This stuff matters. This is a bunch of people throwing popcorn at a television set. It's ridiculous. Hi, everybody. Yes, it is me. It is hair. It is beautiful. It is. Yeah, it's nice when I get to actually wash it after 2 days in a ponytail. I'm glad you got your booster, Rachel. Everyone will be happy to know, of course, like we mentioned earlier today, Gavin Newsom does not have Bell's palsy and has not been under some sort of vaccine-related quarantine. It didn't modify his DNA and turn him into a cat person or something. Yeah. But the main thing we want to talk about today is obviously the biggest, craziest things going. I mean, sure, supply chains the world over are gacked up. Sure, Europe is complaining because Americans, unlike Europeans, have a shit ton of money to spend right now and are pulling supplies for, Christmas related stuff towards the United States. I don't know if you've seen, I had to go grocery shopping today, and I wanted to, I have to say, I wanted to post this to see if I can, continue. I just updated my phone, and I was like, see, dear God, the horror of the empty shelves. My God, man, look how empty the aisles are of people. There's tons of stuff on the shelves. This was the Christmas shelf. They had candy on one side and decorations on the other side. And all I was seeing on social media was, and I even after our conversation today went to the bacon aisle and looked at what was there because of the yellow. You can't see, but you can kind of see the price. $8.79 for the uncured stuff up at the top. This one up here, it's bluer. The one down here was $4.99. Same size, just not the uncured sugar, fat, whatever, blah, blah, blah. These packs were they were thick cut bacon. They were it was like a chunk like that they were, and it was $10.49 compared to the exact same amount of weight that the $4.99 one had, but it's thick cut, uncured, ginormous bacon going on. And then this was the view as soon as I walked into Best Buy, because I'm always buying headphones when I'm on the road. This was when I was in Tempe. I realized I had left my headphones, my regular plug-in headphones, and I went to Best Buy, and this greeted me as soon as I stepped in the door. Literally, they didn't have time to move the giant pallets into the warehouse. Shit won't fit. And I'm taking pictures of, it was just TVs upon TVs upon TVs. Just friggin' ridiculous. And and all the articles we've been looking at, and you watch Kudlow and all these assholes talking about Biden's America, and Christ almighty. Yes, stuff is up, but it's up the world over. We just came out of a pandemic, and parts of the fucking world are still in it. China is right now this very moment having its worst COVID numbers. Any PS5s? No, there were not. There were no PS5s at the Best Buy. Yeah, and I buy 4,000 television sets from China, right? I can't imagine grocery shopping where you live and running into you while shopping. It's very strange. It's weird. Luckily, masks give me a little bit of movement, but at this point, my masks are dead giveaway because I look like the fucking Winter Soldier when I'm walking around. Like, like the nicest Winter Soldier. Yes, eggs abound. And they were the same price I've always paid for eggs. They were not any higher that I noticed. Like maybe 12 cents difference. There are no PS5s in the world. Or are there? So how are you cooking this year? Are you going to a drive-thru? You mean for Thanksgiving? I'll be cooking. I'll be doing the cooking. Me and my dad and my stepmom Carol, more than likely, will be doing all the cooking. I do hate when I run into myself shopping. That's right, because there can be only one. But anyways, yeah, it's up, but not an unreasonable due to the actual fucking circumstance that we're in. People are acting like we're doing forced scrap metal drives for World War II. For fuck's sake. Yes, things are up, especially compared to last year when no one was going anywhere. Gee, dining out at a restaurant costs 5%, 0.5% per month more since the salaries of the people working there have gone up 10%. And people still don't have enough people. So it takes more time. So they're adding, like, for Christ's sakes. Like, but anyways, it gives the right something that they've always wanted to do. Something, in many ways, they've been clamoring to do since midway through the Bush years, but really when Obama got elected. It gives the right Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, RSBN, and the right-wing Twitter sphere and Parler crowd the thing that they've always wanted to do, which is shit on the United States of America. Because fuck the Constitution. The Confederate Constitution is what they really wanted. They're still mad they lost that war. And now they finally get to turn this into a secondary, like, soft, and by soft I mean cranially, soft war, a soft Cold War against the constitutional protections that every citizen gets. Citizenship and naturalization ceremonies are through the roof. We've got more than ever. People are becoming American citizens who pay taxes from not just, by the way, South America and other places like that, from all over the world. Europeans, Brits, expats from all over the fucking place are going, yeah, America's a good place to be again. And it's driving the Tucker Carlsons of the world crazy because it's hard to shit on the country and back Trump as he tells everybody that our soldiers who were tasked with demilitarizing vehicles on their way out of Afghanistan were lying or in dereliction of duty. Fuck off with your nonsense. All right, now, but there's obviously a big issue here. There's a big issue. Men, glorious men. It's raining men, and they're landing on Tucker Carlson. Hello. Men in America. Now, full disclosure. I work out 3 times a week, about an hour a day on those days. I do little intermittent exercises in between, body weight exercises and some small hand weights I have at the house. I have a BOSU, like those half spheres that I do sit-ups on, okay? Oftentimes, when I am gaming, when I have the opportunity to do said things, I will often do, like, in between rounds, which there's usually a minute and a half or something. If you're playing Call of Duty, you will know. Between games, if you're playing online against other people to get reset into the next one, you got some time between. So I do one of 2 things. I clean or exercise. I do push-ups or sit-ups, or I clean something. Now, my kid, by the way, I have trained to do that as well. And when he is playing video games during the time of the day that I allow him to play games, in between games, in between rounds of the games, you exercise. You get up and you do some push-ups or something to keep yourself physically engaged so you don't become a lump. It's not hard. It's normal. It's a good addition to it. I'm just saying. Yes, I do have a shake weight. Also, yes. So this is, I'm guessing, and I'm doing okay. 52 years old. I'm not trying to be, bulky or anything, but we're all kind of going for that, borderline Fight Club physique. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little squat for that. I'm 5'9", so I'm a little stockier than that. It'd be nice to have a longer torso, but what are you going to do? You work with what you got. The good part is where I don't have that long Brad Pitt, torso situation. I do have wings. I do have, that thing's easier for me to get, so I can Rambo out if I want to. If I really apply myself at the gym, I can get kind of that, how do we handle it, John? Day by day. You know what I mean? I can do that. I can actually wing it out a little bit, which is good. So, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. I got a fairly decent taper going on. I'm proud of it. Some good shoulders, cresting right now. Not too much. I need a little bit more for what I want on this side, and here. I'd like a little, and that's a little harder because you got to use lighter weights. It's the shoulder cuff is a very delicate series of muscles, and it's a complicated joint. You don't want to just gack up giant weights on that. Are you out of your fucking mind? You want to treat your body with some iron and with some honor in this process, and then give it some iron in the process, right? So there you go. Yes, torn rotator cuff is no fucking fun, right? So body maintenance, health, taking care of yourself, very important, and you should have your own vision of what your body should look like, and you should work towards it. It's nobody else's fucking business. I don't chase some sort of bizarre, externalized aesthetic. I want my body to look like what I want my body to look like. Fuck everybody else. If it fits into some sort of mold that I went when I was growing up, I was like, that's exemplary for a male physique for me. That's what I'm going to try and work towards. Will I get there? Probably fucking not. But will I stay within, swinging distance? Of course. And of course, he's disgusted by this entire area. Now, understand that this is a gentleman who only has shoulders because he's wearing a suit jacket. And he's about to tell you the trouble that men are in. Something about lower testosterone or some bullshit. And how the left, of which I am absolutely certain, I am scooped into that version of humanity for them as a pejorative anyways. That over the course of, this, whatever this diatribe is going to be, yes, he has padded shoulders. There is no question there. That is what that is right there. That is extra stuffing in there so that he doesn't have droopy shoulders. So his body doesn't look like this. He wears, it's sort of like the fake tits of a suit. You know what I mean? It gives you the illusion, right? So while we're discussing, Tucker's issue of what makes a manly man a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man, man, I'm a man, I'm a man, I'm a man. That's the best part of Orgasmo, by the way, is the man song. Yes, a couple of yes, you got frozen Swanson chicken breasts stuffed in either side. Yeah, so anyways, this is, do weasels have shoulders? It's an excellent point. I don't think so. So let's see what his big concern, and this is him, Senator Hawley. Men are in crisis. And by the way, from this point on, Josh Hawley will be referred to as Garsh Hawley. So just get used to the idea. Garsh. Oh. Largely because he has the physique of Goofy. Oh, hold on. Wait. Am I hearing? Oh, that's right. Hold on. I've audio turned off over here. Okay. Here we go.
That continues apace like it's 1973. The numbers are really clear. It's men in this country who are in deep trouble by every measure.
By every measure. By how often he gets to the gym, by how his haircut would make Rachel Maddow go, bro. All measure. Yes, all measures.
A couple years ago, we did a series called Men in America, which...
And you learned nothing, apparently.
Explained exactly how men are falling behind in this country. We found that...
It's not toxic to embrace masculinity. Well, then why not do it, Tucker? Seriously. What do you do? Do they make you balance out having Bongino?
Important at the time, it's even more important now. The numbers are even worse. Finally, a member of Congress noticed this and spoke to it forcefully. That was Senator Josh Hawley.
Excuse me, it's pronounced Gorsh Hawley.
At the National Conservatism Conference, and he pointed out something obvious, that masculinity is under attack in this country, and men...
No. Actually, it is not. Tonic masculinity, the kind that I like to express, is having zero fucking problems right now. Asshole broing out roid rage dickheadness like is displayed by Dan Bongino has always been out and always been embarrassing.
Are withering and dying as a result of it. That's not an overstatement. Anybody familiar with the social science can confirm that. So
Yeah, I hear some dudes are growing their hair long like Jesus. And what could be more femme than that?
MSNBC, of course, they found this deeply offensive. They compared Josh Hawley, of course, to Vladimir Putin.
Josh Hawley, with his trademark laser-like precision, has honed in on the real front-burner issue in America, masculinity in this country.
I am certainly not shocked that he said something this wacky, because he said stuff like this before.
It's a couple of dashes of political extremism from a very, very cynical, Stanford-educated United States senator. It's a dollop of the type of rhetoric that you may hear in Vladimir Putin's Russia, that you may hear in Viktor Orban's Hungary.
Yeah, except, in all due respect, Stephen, we love you, but in Vladimir Putin's Russia, at least Putin is kind of being a douchebag when he says it. At least he has the decency to be a macho douchebag. You know what I mean? Because if you're on a horse with your shirt off, you're going, men should be men. If they're not men, then they are women, and women are for the womening, right? At least he's doing the extra work, not dressing like he's running for student president, and the only qualification at his school for being student president is never doing a pull-up.
Of these masculine notions, right? This is why you see Putin posing with tigers with his shirt off.
Yes, that's why. In contrast,
at some point, we're going to take a closer forensic look at the personal lives of the three people you just saw on the screen. A lot of happy, well-balanced relationships, do you think? Probably not.
I'm sorry, who was the girl you were having dinner with Matt Gaetz with, who he thought was your wife and it fucking wasn't? Sorry, how old was the girl that Matt Gaetz was with, you fucking douche? You want let's talk about relations. You want to crack that fucking nut? Seriously, dude who would never get laid if he wasn't a Swanson heir.
Hawley, by contrast, is the senator from Missouri about whom they were complaining. He joins us.
Gosh. Literally. Hawley. You make it look like Tucker Carlson has broad shoulders. But please tell us, and by the way, I'm playing around with male stereotypes because this is what they are talking about. Calm yourselves. Fear not. If you want to have any idea, if you'd like, let me show you what I grew up with as one of my primary examples of masculinity, just like my whole fucking life, just for the record. Give me a second. I want to find an excellent picture. Yeah, here you go. There you go. Yeah, just in case you want to throw that, like, you have a narrow view of what masculinity can be. Get fucked. My spectrum on what masculinity, genuine masculinity, can contain within it is far wider than any Zoomer narrowified branding version of gender that's floating around right now. Yes, Paul does. It's a package picture. It clearly is. Yeah. See what I mean? Piss off. Piss off with your idea. Yeah. Robert Plant, 1971. Excellent idea. Don't tell me that I have a narrow view of what's allowable in men. Okay? Just for the record. I think this is manly as shit. Prince, another example. Right. So, don't even talk to me about that bullshit. Meanwhile, these guys would be on television in 1978 telling us how this was not only gay and counterculture, but also satanic. So, piss off.
Senator, thanks so much for coming on. So you felt moved to defend masculinity. How come?
And you felt moved to do it only verbally and not in any physical way. Like, I don't know, going to the gym or and bulking up or I don't know, refusing to manscape or becoming a firefighter and lifting heavy shit. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, because it's in crisis. Men are in crisis, Tucker, as you pointed out. I mean, listen, we've got at least 16 million men in this country who are out of the labor force. They're not just unemployed. They're not even trying to work. And I'm talking about able-bodied men, prime-age men. We have an epidemic of
prime-aged. Sounds delicious. What?
fatherlessness in this country. And what's the left saying? The left saying that America is a systemically oppressive place and that men are to blame and that masculinity is to blame. You know, if you want.
Well, no. I mean, I think obviously the Weinsteins and the Epsteins and the Cosbys and the Matt Lauers of the world are definitely a problem we have to deal with. But I honestly am not running aground as a man anywhere I go. No one is pushing back against my view of masculinity. Like, what the problem is, and if I may, is that when I hear the word masculinity, I'm talking about the expression of a male to its healthiest and fullest extent. And when you say masculinity, you think that's just piggish behavior and being a douche. And you think attacks on pigs and douches is an attack on masculinity because that's the kind of shit you have in your ears.
Be a man, if you are assertive, if you're independent, if you display those characteristics that psychologists have associated with men for decades, then you're contributing to the oppressive place that is America.
I apologize. Dear God, will I ever be forgiven? I have exuded those traits in public, often, in my relationships, and as a human being. What, is there some sort of Marxist church of femininity that I have to go kneel in front of? Jesus Christ.
That just isn't true. And it's time that we call that out. And it's time that we say to you.
It so is. We have to call it out, Tucker. You and me, buddy.
Men in particular, we need you. We need you to be responsible. We need you to get a job. And
where is the I need you, I want you poster?
You can make this country a better place by being who you were meant to be, and we should call men to that. God.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're on the wrong show for that.
I can't imagine why anyone would be anything but grateful to hear that. Why do you think that triggers the morons so much?
The morons so much? Why would you think that triggers the morons so much? It doesn't. We think it's fucking hilarious that Josh Hawley is calling out the men of America for not being masculine, while he looks like Ichabod Crane in his college picture. The fuck? Both of you.
Well, because the left, they hate this country, but they don't.
Johnny says, I'm a bi man with a job and seeking a job, so fuck him. Exactly. And by the way, being bi is never within the package of what they would consider masculinity or being male. It's not allowed. It's got to be sliced out. It's where the horseshoe overlap between the transgender community and the right overlaps entirely.
Gender, they're trying to do away with gender, and they don't believe in manhood or womanhood. I mean, these are the same people who are trying to do away with women's sports. Let's not forget, Tucker. Right. So this is a war on gender all the way around, and I think the idea.
Well, I actually, if you're coming to the defense of women, never mind. I'm going to withhold statement for a moment.
Of having independent men and independent women, for that matter, but
lonely people is what you're looking for. By the way, his complaint, if you didn't hear it, was that men are not going into the workforce and are staying home and fapping and playing video games. Hopefully not at the same time, because, sometimes you have to share controllers when you come over to somebody's house, and that would just be wrong. But I technically, isn't it an act of independence to say, fuck this noise? I'm not for it. But you can't argue that it's a form of independence.
Independent men who would actually go to work and be responsible and contribute to their families and contribute to society.
That would be codependent men. Sorry, just kidding.
The left finds that scary because those are not the kind of people who will just be told to fall in line by the government and do whatever the government says to do. And the left doesn't.
By the way, a lot of those fuckers, the anti-vaxxers and are staying home, not going to work, and are fapping while playing video games. Are you out of your fucking mind?
Want that. They don't believe in manhood at all. They think it's inherently oppressive. We've got to
Well, no. Don't you? I think you've got something. They don't believe in your manhood because they've seen no convincing traits that it exists at all. Citation needed, as the kids say on the interwebs today. I've honestly, the only people I've had question my manhood were bigots while I was doing Queer as Folk or in reference to it, because they're so afraid that it would impact theirs, which is hilarious. And as a man, I don't care.
Them out on these falsehoods, and they are false, and we've got to call men to responsibility.
For all of our sakes. Men and women need each other.
Yeah. For all of our sakes. I mean, who's going to open the door for me when the morons are holding it closed? What? Don't they realize that men you have the responsibility to be able to carry, your family members in an emergency over a great distance? That's why I've worked so hard on expanding my shoulders with padding.
If one group fails, everyone suffers. I mean, that's real. That's how we're made. Exactly. Unfortunately, maybe, but it's true. Senator Hawley.
Unfortunately, maybe, but we're true. I see. What the fuck?
I appreciate your coming on tonight and for the truth that you're telling about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean.
Thank you. That was for a couple of manly men, I got to say that was a pretty soft thank you.
For the truth that you're telling about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean.
Thank you. And for the truth that you're telling. Thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. Oh, no, thank you. I'm sorry. I wasn't going to be not manly today. I told myself I would manly. Jesus Christ. That was the whole thing of it, by the way. This is the dude who's going to tell everybody what manliness is and his definition of it. and that other men aren't living up to it. By the way, there was new information. Hold on. Let me see if I can find the picture of this. New information related to Hawley. Let's see. There is a lot of people who believe that this was a sign that that Hawley was in on it with the January 6th insurrectionists. And that is not the case. New evidence is coming out that someone in the crowd yelled, "Show us your fapping hand." And he apparently is a big fan of The Stranger. So, I don't want anybody to have any false information. I'm sorry. That was wrong. But honestly, luckily we have Tucker Carlson to straighten
I
us
like
out,
wood.
just in case anybody was wondering.
Deeper and longer.
But I'm glad, yes, fapping. You know what fapping is? I'm so glad to initiate some of you in a new word. It is based on the idea if you repeat the first syllable of that, you get a sound that is similar. Yes, like slapping, but right. So that's congratulations. And now you can add that as an adjective when you're talking about our favorite right-wingers who have manly issues, because they are faptastic, they are fapping morons, they're psychofappalicious. Now you know. Someone yelled, "Show us your flapping hand." Your fapping hand, not your flapping hand. Your fapping hand, right? In this process. Okay. Now, good times. Let's reset. Welcome to the show. Hi, I'm Hal Sparks, Megaworldwide, your host, Megaworldwide. And this is the show. And don't forget to like and subscribe and give a thumbs up, because no one gives you the kind of entertainment I do, where I take the uncut and unedited clips that right-wingers put online and judge them by what they say, not what I say they said, but what they are actually saying. Unlike our favorite, like Laura Ingraham, who yesterday sliced Jennifer Granholm's statements into 2 half sentences, and then, see what she means? See, see what you mean? Yeah. No, not me. No, I show you, even when it's something you don't want to see. Ladies and gentlemen, Dinesh D'Souza and Debbie D'Souza, quadruple D. And yes, she has gotten whiter. I don't know how that happened. I think it might be a filter, but it's she's a ghost of her former self. Yes. So, some of you may know that Debbie D's, right over here, Debbie D's, is from Venezuela. And so she is often brought on to warn us of the dangers of socialism and the realities of socialism in Venezuela and elsewhere. This is the Debbie and I draw on our experience with socialism to identify the signs of creeping socialism in America, of which there is none. Not a pretty picture. That's right. I said none. Even in the Build Back Better plan, even in the most egregious things that they point out in the bills, the rescue package, any of that shit, all of it's either grants or what have you, but it's all money given by the government to individuals or businesses that are going to be hired to do certain things like make roads and shit like that. It's capitalism through and through. It's simply taxation with representation. It never was socialism. It's not fucking socialism. It's never going to be socialism. It's a stupid it's ridiculous. It's a dog whistle. It's a capitalist system. It always has been. Like fucking Medicare is capitalist, you dipshits. Social Security is capitalist. Gives people money to do with what they want. See, we had a bunch of old people who were having to choose between eating cat food or taking their medicine. Now we give them money every month after they've retired so that if they, they don't have to make that choice. But guess what? They still can if they want to. That's right, Grandma. If you like eating cat food, you don't have to stop. America's not showing up at your door with rationed food that you must consume. We're not dropping MREs off at the old folks' home. If you get your Social Security thing and go, this pate is fantastic, knock yourself the fuck out. We don't want Grandma to have to choose between medication and eating cat food. If she wants to do both, that's America. Jesus was not a liberal commie. He was I love that argument. John Fugelsang and I have talked about this. He was a deity. There's no even comparison to it. Everybody's a socialist when you can produce loaves and fishes magically. So if he was a socialist, he would have, instead of conjuring up loaves and fishes, he would have conjured up a factory full of workers who made the loaves and fishes. Yeah. Yes, and cat food is expensive. And by the way, do not mix these two things together. When I have said in the past that Taco Bell is cat food for humans, because it absolutely is. Remember Reagan cheese? Boy, do I. Jesus was not a liberal. He was a Christian. He drove the moneylenders from the temple, so he wasn't kind of. It's a silly argument. It's like all those things are ridiculous. It's like talking about Wonder Woman as if she's actually a woman. She's a deity. It doesn't even mix. Superman's not even a man. He's a Kryptonian who looks like a primate-based human, but he's not. If we have sex with him, he'll blow a hole in your lower back. He's not a man. It's not even close. Jesus drove a Pinto. Finally, someone who says something true. I'm a fapping deity. Well, all right. Well, there are those. The Hindus have them. The Greeks had them. All right, here we go. So this is Debbie D warning us about Venezuela.
Chatting this morning about your aunt, and your aunt in Venezuela. She's in her 80s, and you're in constant
contact, and you haven't thought to bring her here because you're not a big fan, and she's kind of a pain in the ass, and
touch with her, and in a way, her life gives you a window into not just socialism over there, but creeping socialism in this country.
Right.
Talk a little bit about her.
Yeah.
Did she bring up the idea that right-wingers think that Biden should fix gas prices in the United States? Because I don't see any left-wingers who are allegedly for socialism asking for that at all. But I do see Republicans daily saying that Biden should do something about gas prices by executive order or executive fiat and force oil companies and gas prices to bring gas prices down, which would be very Venezuela.
At first I didn't really understand what she meant by, I have to go to this grocery store to get eggs, and then I have to go to this one to get bread, and then
because it's tasty. It's the local thing. I have to go to the bakery to get bread. Why don't they have eggs at the bakery? All right, never mind.
Go to this one to get...
By the way, how many eggs?
5 eggs.
I'm just going to guess. I'm just guessing.
5 eggs in a month.
That's all they get.
5 eggs.
I don't even know if she deserves it, but
Eat
you
2
are.
eggs a day.
That's right. Venezuela has eggs.
5 eggs.
Let's see. 5 milks. Right.
Something else. I never really I was like, oh yeah, that's terrible. Or, I can't find toilet paper anywhere. I have to use Kleenex or I have to use.
Yeah, that's not a downgrade. That's like saying, milady, the people, they have no toilet paper. Let them wipe with cake.
A towel and wash it and this and that. It just really didn't, while I thought it was horrific.
Yes, using a towel and washing it. Maybe a bidet, perhaps a hose.
I didn't understand it. I couldn't put myself in her shoes to see what.
And you still fucking can't, you dizzy moron.
Feeling.
By the way, we had outhouses when I was a kid. During the time we were remodeling our house, we had an outhouse dug for 9 months. Afterwards, we took the shed that was the outhouse and moved it, filled in the top of the hole with dirt. And then the shed was used to store my dad's gunpowder for his muzzle loaders. Also lead for making shot. So it might explain a lot.
Just the shortages, the empty stores in Venezuela, but talk about how the price escalation, the levels of inflation. I mean, we help your aunt a little bit,
right,
but we've decided to help her a little more.
Yeah.
And say why?
Yeah. So my
because she was starving, and we're like, well, how starving?
aunt used to get a pension, and really her pension was pretty good. In American standards, it was probably I would say about $10,000 a month, pension. She's in her.
I beg your pardon.
80s. And all of a sudden, Venezuela's currency really became worthless.
Gee, why would that be?
Inflation rate was 1,000,000%. We can't even imagine that, right?
Perhaps she should use that as toilet paper. The Venezuelan. Sorry.
5% inflation, 1,000,000% inflation. So her $10,000 became like a quarter cents, 25 cents.
Yeah. Are you listening, Dinesh? You said you were listening this morning during breakfast.
Versus $10,000. It was almost nil. So we had.
And meanwhile, with that shrunken currency, like we go to the grocery store, if you buy a roasted chicken, it's, what, $3, $4.
Yeah. So my aunt says that to buy a chicken in Venezuela costs about $20 to $30. So obviously she can't afford protein. She can't afford to eat protein. At her age, she should be eating a healthy diet of protein.
Yeah, we would feed my grandmother a chicken a day, pretty much. I mean, that was all she ate. The hard part was getting her to crawl down out of the attic. By the way, people starving in another country is a serious topic. Both of these people are inserious. I'm not going to treat this like it's a real fucking conversation. And the fact that these assholes actually think that they can compare what they're going through to what she allegedly her aunt is going through is horse shit.
And carbs and all of those things. She can't do that. So
every day we buy her a chicken and a bun, and she just has to.
For Americans in general, this is incomprehensible.
Yeah.
I know when I was growing up, we didn't have those kinds of shortages, but we did have.
Yeah, we did. In the 70s, we had that kind of thing. We had inflation. We had stagflation. It was way worse because it was out of our hands. It was caused by oil prices, which was and then there was huge unemployment. We don't have that now. No one thinks we do. You're full of shit.
Was ration cards, because everything was processed through the government, and you were allotted a certain amount. So much rice, so much cooking oil, and so on. But Americans are now getting a taste of it, not just under COVID, but under Biden.
Right. And you often talk about India and the rationing in India.
We're getting a taste of it. Oh, are we now?
But the difference, and when then I bring up Venezuela, is that Venezuelans were not used to that. I think in India, that is how you grew up and you didn't know anything.
Yeah, you guys were used to poverty. You know what I mean? This was sprung on us. This is getting uncomfortable. Is this how all their conversations go? She's like fixes herself a nice meal and then fixes him like scraps and garbage. That's what you're used to eating. What the fuck?
Different. Venezuelans were used to going to the grocery store and getting whatever they wanted. They could get the brand of shampoo they wanted, the brand of toilet paper they wanted, anything, right? And then all of a sudden they had to have ration. They rationed it because they didn't have enough. And what happens with socialism, and I want everybody to kind of realize this, during COVID, when you went to the grocery store and you were super frustrated because you went and there was no toilet paper, or you went and there was no,
Yeah, like 3 weeks during COVID. At the beginning, when everybody bum rushed, no pun intended, for buying toilet paper. Because it was a stock issue. It filled right back up. It's not the same fucking thing. This is not enduring months and months and months of hardship. And the idea that you would even conflate the two shows that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Of eggs that you typically get was gone. The milk.
Yeah, the typically get part. Jesus Christ.
You like more.
Thanks for spotting that, Pukashe. Just saying.
To get the generic milk or milk that you never really liked. So you...
For fuck's sake, like how gross is this? Talking about people who literally lost everything because of effectively a governmental collapse and are now having to face like harsh rationing and all this kind of shit. And during a rush in the beginning of a pandemic when everybody was going to be locked down and nobody was going to go out, everybody ran out and got a bunch of shit so they could wait the fucking thing out. And the shortages lasted all of 3 fucking weeks. And her idea, you couldn't get the eggs you usually get or the milk you like. Get the fuck out of here.
To get things at the grocery store that weren't really what you were used to. That is the reality of socialism permanently.
Well, let's say why.
Thank
what
you,
happens
Susanna.
is the government imposes increasingly confiscatory taxation. It drives these private companies out of...
Yeah, that's what it was. Venezuela at increasingly confiscatory taxes. The price of oil fell out, dum-dum. They were flush with cash because they nationalized oil. And then oil took a shit. And they didn't diversify when they had the chance. Because they decided to create social safety nets with no business safety net concurrently. Because they were basically paying off the people so that they would get reelected. It wasn't so. If it was socialism to some degree, instead of just graft, they would have nationalized the oil, nationalized the production, had people work in the production facilities, used that money that they had coming in to seed other businesses, that they would produce other things from Venezuela that would keep them afloat if any one of these things, if people stopped eating pineapple all of a sudden, if people stopped buying gas all of a sudden, whatever the multitude of things they could produce. But if you put all your eggs in one basket and that basket has a giant fucking hole in it the next day, what the fuck does that have to do with confiscatory taxes?
Then the government goes, oh, they're not providing eggs. They're not providing, so we need to do it. So the government takes it over, and then you get a government run, but then you have one type of toilet paper. It's the generic brand.
It's the national brand. And why? Because
yes, it's patriotism in its highest form.
all of these companies that are not making a profit anymore leave. They're no longer there. So goods and services can no longer be provided by private...
Yeah, but that's not because of confiscatory tax policy, you asshole. That's because they put all their money in one basket and the basket fell out. There was no money. The money wasn't worth anything. It didn't go anywhere. There was nothing to back the currency. They had nothing to show for it. That's why the businesses left. Because these people could throw as much of the money at them as they wanted, but it wasn't good anywhere else. The fuck?
Individuals or private companies, they leave the scene, and the only thing left is a national company that makes toilet paper like sandpaper. And
now that's cleanliness. I'm just saying. I mean, Venezuelans, say what you will, but like a baby's ass, just the most exfoliated bums out there, like sandpaper. Get what? By the way, do I think this woman has ever touched a piece of actual sandpaper? No. That's shit. She had to use tissue. She had to use Kleenex. Toilet paper splinter, knot holes. Yeah. They were using dot matrix printer paper. And you know how once the perforations start to break, that's a cut you don't want to have. Pine cones, right. Corn on the cob, baby. Where's my fellow Kentuckians at?
so that's what happened.
It's like a stack. Just give me like a stack of cobs under my arm. This is a big
And it's
I mean, I'm thinking about all these young people. They're so used to an abundant standard of living, and we know it with our own kids. They take things for granted that we never had.
Yeah, when we were young, we had to use sandpaper. You used sandpaper because you grew up rich in Venezuela. Where I came from, we used just fistfuls of sand. You were so weak, you couldn't even rub it up and down. You just kind of chuck a handful of sand at your ass. Oftentimes, you would fall right into the river. Shut the fuck up.
And yet, these are people who think somehow socialism is idealistic. It's gonna make things better. But I mean,
well, obviously, you've raised your kids poorly. Yeah, that's how your kids think that way. Their dad is Dinesh D'Souza. Their mother is a racist from Venezuela. And if you don't believe me, look at the shit she says about immigration. I thought, I admit my own sexism. I thought as a woman she would be a mitigating voice for some of Dinesh D'Souza's more extreme takes on immigration. Nope. He was having to slow her roll.
What they don't realize is that socialism is drab. It's uniform. It's one size fits all.
Yeah, it is not sexy. I mean, obviously. I mean, sure, those Che Guevara hats and those Mao jackets look cool on the rack. But if that's the only thing you get to wear, it gets a little dull after a while. Dork and Mindy.
It's a kind of hollowing out of the soul. And socialist societies are really...
Well, yeah. I mean, eventually, if you really start... No, sorry.
Oh.
Well, yeah, nobody has the will to do anything anymore.
Yeah, I mean, she's just sitting there. She can't do anything. She can't make... I need a chicken. Nobody has the will to do anything. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. Where was this guy? Let's see if I can find. There you go. Yeah, I don't see a lot of activity in Venezuela. These people look exhausted. They just aren't motivated. It's you know what I mean? It makes you lazy. You know what I mean? After years and years and years, they can't even get out of bed anymore. You know, after a while, they just. By the way, this is the fucker that turned in Han Solo, and I'm never gonna forgive him for it. Fuck that guy. Anyways, I don't even know how I got in here. Yeah, just I mean, this is obviously a level of laziness that you'd see. They just don't have the energy to do anything. You know what I mean? They just all they can say is yes. These lazy Venezuelans. That was not Greedo. That's not who I'm talking about. No. Greedo, by the way, Han shot first. I'm not talking about him. You guys know who I'm talking about. It's not Greedo. It's the dude with the big, he's dark. Yeah, Garandon. That's right. That dude. Anyways, lazy. Nothing but lazy. Right.
I mean, think about it. If you're given, and then you actually think.
Oh, sorry. What? If you're given what? If you're given everything, this is like, all right.
That whatever you're given by the government is good, but you were used to like going to a coffee shop with your iPhone and you're doing Snapchat with your friends and things like that. Well, I don't think Apple would like being taxed at 90%. Do you really think Apple could operate that way? So what would
No, that's why no one is suggesting anything even remotely close to that. What they're talking about is a 15% base tax across all Western countries, which they have fundamentally achieved. That's based on profits, and if they roll stuff into R&D, development, expansion, that's not going to get counted. As a matter of fact, even with that 15%, what do you think the chances are they're going to pay more than 3?
And Apple would cease to exist. And do you think?
Right. That's why there are no Venezuelan iPhones. Next, what the fuck are you talking about?
That the government could come up with an Apple product?
I mean, it's a secret. It's a secret wish.
I mean, come on. You think Nancy Pelosi could? I mean, we know that Trump created the vaccine with his CRISPR-Cas9 setup, but do you think Nancy Pelosi could create? I mean, sure, it may be a Samsung 6 at best.
Progressives to control those companies. Yes. I mean, their main objection to Facebook is that Facebook is doing censorship.
Facebook? What kind of product are we talking about with Facebook? One that can be easily replaced tomorrow by the next big thing that comes along? That's wholly different than a company that makes physical phones and computers, dum-dum.
Behalf, but they want to do it themselves. So they want it to be Biden censorship and not Zuckerberg censorship.
Yeah.
So
what do you mean, yeah? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and if
I lost my train of thought. What was I bullshitting about?
We have chats like this all the time, and
to be a fly on the wall. I feel like we could all bond with them.
You're now on Locals, Dinesh.locals.com.
He's excited. Dinesh.locals.com. This turned into an ad for Locals.
It's really fun. The last couple of weeks, you've been
so fun. It's fun. We've been doing these fun things. It's been fun.
These Q&As Thursday night.
I mean, I do some content that's censored elsewhere.
Yeah,
you just
exactly.
Can't talk about.
You talk about pretty much everything, and so you get a little window into our like living room and my office.
Fucking pass, hard pass, hard pass.
Because that's where you hang out mostly.
Yeah, and the Q&As are cool. I mean, we do.
Oh, sorry. He hangs out in the living room mostly? Yeah? No, he's not. Doesn't he realize there's a war on men? He's not outside with a fucking shovel? Why aren't you chopping wood, Dinesh? Hanging out in the living room. The problem is, you live in a country where, that kind of, it's allowed. How are you allowed to do that? Good times create weak men. Haven't you read for God's sake, Dinesh?
podcast. People can send in questions, and I try to answer from time to time. But I do a kind of freewheeling, no hold.
I get it. I bet it's just fucking magic. It's just rolling off the tongue, baby. Like I don't even have to. This is a fact-free zone.
Barred 45-minute, 30 to 45-minute Q&A once a week. It's Thursday. I'm going to do one on locals this
7:30
Thursday.
Eastern.
7:30 Eastern. And it's just Dinesh.locals.com.
Yeah, and I come in and sneak.
Why are you looking at her? She knows. Love, exciting and new. Come aboard. We're infecting you.
At the end and give you like
Tell me where I went wrong. Correct my errors.
the Dinesh D'Souza podcast. Thank you very much. My husband likes to tease me about it.
Cucking cuckness, cuck. Set the cuck alarm. Someone set off the right-wing cuck alarm. Someone get Tucker Carlson on the phone. He's got to send in the cuck squad. Stop this. This is a woman is being able to look. She's touching a man without permission. Why is she not 6 feet behind him? Why is this joke even allowed? Cucking.
I'm a little bit of a control freak, in case you hadn't noticed.
The outfits. I'm a bit of a control freak. You think?
So.
No, I think actually people like the interaction because
it's fun. It's a.
Yeah, you would think that, wouldn't you? Look at this still frame. Now, I didn't choose this. But this is, these are the kind of accidental freeze frames you get when two people are just having too much fun together. Just too much. Yeah. Yeah, definitely Wapner. Definitely good time. Definitely Debbie podcast. Definitely Debbie podcast. Yeah. Jesus.
Fun. And, we don't always talk politics, but a lot of times we do. And
well, that tells me a lot. Thanks. I mean, I'm sold. I don't even know why.
So to get a little.
Well, I mean, I've posted on all kinds of topics. You were laughing at the post I did on locals about different types of food and which cuisines, which cultures take.
Oh, it's so funny. Remember how I was saying that some cultures' foods are garbage? Remember? When I said that, that some are good and superior and others are trash and indicative of the societies and the people that eat them. Remember when I said that? And I was like, stuff. Oh.
These people with all the foods. And,
no. It's no.
These people with all the foods and the. This is like someone. It's like reading someone's Yelp review. They were reading while they were leaving the place, driving. They were in an accident, and then their face just smashed onto the screen, and random letters just kept typing until the ambulance arrived.
It was about which cultures take cuisine seriously.
Yeah. So anyways, that's a lot of fun. But
Anyway, so remember, baby, it was it was great. It was great. Yeah. Anyway. Look at this.
These people with all the foods. And,
no. It's no. I mean, it was about which cultures take cuisine seriously.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's a lot of fun. But the socialism.
Ow! Oh, fuck! This is awful. You know what? I'm beginning to think that Hawley and Tucker might be onto something. Hey guys, maybe an intervention into the Dinesh D'Souza house. We have an acute attack right now happening. Is there somewhere like you can full on, please send someone in? Yes. I got a good idea. Parachute this idiot in. Send D'Souza. Well, I mean, obviously Bongino probably does the same thing in his house. Yeah. Anyway, so whatever you were saying, shut the fuck up.
Is a definitely something that that is a very.
She went in after the fact and dropped this producer Dinesh D'Souza podcast. Ouch! Jesus Christ! Why don't you just put his nuts in a microwave? Yeah. Anyways, and then wham with the producer credit. Oh God, this is hilarious. We're so much fun. You guys really are going to want to watch us talk and stuff. Seriously, this is making my
serious topic, and we like to we talk about it, number one, because I personally deal with it with my family in Venezuela, and I see what it's done to their soul, and I don't want that here in America for any.
No, I don't want them here in America. That's why they're still down there. We're not going to sponsor them to come up here no matter how bad it gets. Ew. They keep talking about how nice Biden is.
I don't even wish it on the left.
I mean, it's easy to get into, and it's really hard to get out of.
Once you have it.
Just like this relationship.
I don't think you'll ever get out of it.
Christ. What a horrifying... They posted that. All of that blather was the realities of socialism in Venezuela and elsewhere. We are nowhere near any of that shit. India didn't have socialism when he was talking about eating dirt when he was a kid. They don't experience it now, nor are they. You don't have the type of milk that you usually like. I mean, this is creeping socialism. You don't understand. The first step is they're out of almond amaretto creamer in the 2%, because I'm not the only one watching my figure version. And then you have to go whole on that. It makes you a little gassy. And then the next thing you know, you're in a gulag. And the only dairy you get is those little creamers that you have to smuggle out of the commissary in your ass after your re-education class. Shit. Okay. I'm trying to reset on this one. All right. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. Don't forget to spread the show around. Like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. This is the only place you're getting this kind of programming, honestly. Only place. And if you're seeing it anywhere else after this, it's because they've stolen it from me, because it's excellent. And over the course of me doing these programs, you have seen it many times that I have fact-checked instantaneously on the fly the bullshit that it gets tossed around. And even when the facts are uncomfortable for some of the people on my side, I will even bring them up. That's how I am. But most of the time, we're dealing with people who are stunningly and egregiously and enormously full of shit.
The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Sorry. Speaking of which, hold on. Simmer down, Bongino. So this is from Bongino. Biden goes full tyrant. Full tyrant. So let's just run through this whole thing. Let's see, hold on. Somebody's saying what? Good Lord. In 4 years, GOP, 33.1 in 2020. No. Economic growth 4.6 before COVID. Well, you don't get to count the part where you ignored the threat before. Lowest black unemployment in 50 years before COVID. All these things before COVID, this person keeps mentioning on Facebook, acts like COVID wasn't Trump's fault. And by the way, Trump now thinks and is expressing that it was a bioweapon, and that means that during a bioweapon attack, Trump was president and had his response to it was continue to make a trade deal with the people who attacked us with a bioweapon. So that's your guy. Brokered 3 historic peace treaties. No, you can only call it a peace treaty if those countries were at war. The Abraham Accords were just arms deals. Facilitate, normalize, improve relations with 2 Persian Gulf states. Yeah, they normalizing is just trade in between them, and he did it by giving them $50 billion apiece in military gear. nominated 3 times for a Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah, nominated by people that he knew. Median household was hit highest level ever recorded, was on its way up until COVID. Women's unemployment reached lowest in 65 years. All of them were exactly together. None of them narrowed, which means it wasn't due to policy. It was due to economic trends. Almost 3.9 million Americans have been lifted off food stamps since the election. No. Signed the biggest package of tax cuts and reforms in history. Yes. Permanent for corporations, temporary for individuals. After tax cuts, over $300 billion poured back in the U.S. in the first quarter alone. 401k up by 15% before COVID. Again, you don't get to not treat COVID like it was a quarter of his entire presidency, and he pissed it off. Opened Anwar and approved Keystone XL and Dakota Access Pipeline. That's not a good thing. Ended the TPP, where plenty of jobs were exported to other countries, which Obama, Hillary, and Bernie supporters supported. No, Bernie Sanders supporters did not support TPP, even if Bernie mentioned a positive thing for it. Ending it was a terrible idea and benefited China. That's why he ended up with $17 million in a slush fund account the day after he did it in China. His Chinese bank account suddenly had $17 million in it, and he took $15 million out in cash. Signed the VA Choice Act and VA Accountability Act. Bullshit. Obama did that in 2014. Expanded VA telehealth services. No, COVID did that. Walk-in clinics and same-day urgent primary and mental health care, all part of the 2014 bill. Increased our coal exports by 60%. Oh, joy, oh, rapture. Secured a record $700 billion in military funding, $716 billion for the next year. Yes, and basically spent a huge swath of it by not getting us out of Afghanistan his entire time. Net exports on track to increase by $59 billion this year. Immaterial, not his doing. Trump supported the First Step Act, which released thousands of people from prison. 90% of it. Whoops, it scaled through. Oh, jumped through. Okay, all horseshit. Yes. But again, the fact that somebody would bring that up, may I, just for that, like for old time's sake, just remember, this used to be it's like a golden oldie. Veterans Access, Choice, and Accountability Act of 2014. Who was president during 2014? Anybody? Anybody know? Anybody on Facebook know who was president in 2014? Improvement of access to care from non-PA providers. That's right. You get to choose somebody you can use outside the VA if you're 30 to 45 minutes outside. That was the modification from 45 minutes drive to 30 minutes. Yeah, Trump did this. Claims processing, enhanced collaboration, extension of assisted living pilots, independent assessments, technological task force, major facility leases. They got 27, authorizes 27 major facility leases in 18 states and Puerto Rico. They expanded the number of VA hospitals and facilities and licensed care areas, which is what they would do is they would add a VA element to a hospital in an area if it was underserved. New residency training and education, military sexual trauma, VBA program requirements, employment disciplinary procedures. This was the VA will revise human resource policy to include penalties for employees who knowingly falsify or require another employee to falsify data regarding access to care or quality measures. VA will limit the amount of awards and bonuses paid to VA employees each year for fiscal year 2015 through 2024. Removal of Senior Executives Choice Act provides new authority for VA to seek removal or transfer of senior executives based on poor performance or misconduct with an abbreviated process for an expedited repeal. That was to get rid of the bad people that were entrenched in the program and you couldn't get them out. So whoever that was that said that was on Facebook, go fuck yourself, stop stealing valor, and stop lying about veterans. I'm well, thank you for asking. So just sit on that and spin for a while. Enjoy yourself. All right, so full tyrant tells businesses to ignore court order. Full tyrant. Do tyrants tell people? I'm confused. So if a tyrant tells you to do something, do you have an option not to do said things that they tell you to? Let's see. Let's see if that lines up, shall we? Full tyrant. One would, let's see. Let's get some, we have to have some sort of perspective, I would think. Let's see. Except, like, we can go with go tyrant for something. We can go into, let's go into Slobodan Milosevic, tyrant who turned the Balkans into a bloodbath. Does that qualify as a tyrant? That would be full tyrant, right? Milosevic profile. Slobodan Milosevic's road to his Hague prison cell reads like a cliche-ridden movie script, and a bad one at that. Raised in war and hardship, he rose to power by stabbing his best friend in the back, then took on the world, carved out an empire, ultimately saw it crash in flames. At the time of his death, the territory he controlled was limited to the few square feet of his cramped prison cell. Armchair psychologists say the key to understanding Milosevic is his tortured childhood, blah, blah, blah. Both his father, a banker, and others, that it is the biography of him. In 1989, he organized a huge rally in Kosovo to remember the 600th anniversary of the Serb defeat at the hands of the Turkish army. Arrived in helicopter to announce that when Yugoslavia did fall apart, led by Croatia and Slovenia breaking away, Milosevic's paramilitary units were ready. Slovenia fought a 10-day war before Serb units withdrew, but in Croatia, they introduced the world to a new term, ethnic cleansing, a variation of Hitler's genocide from a half a century before. He never mentioned it by name, but Milosevic was pandering to the centuries-old nationalist dream of a greater Serbia, a land where all Serbs could live together. No matter how terrible the slaughter, how graphic the image of besieged Sarajevo, or of Muslims starving behind barbed wire in detention camps, Milosevic, the great manipulator, was unmoved. One man in particular loomed over all the rest. Ivan Stambolic considered Milosevic his chum, a sort of blood brother when they met as students. Okay, so that would be a tyrant to each other. The Stockholm bloodbath, Christian the Tyrant, and the misaligned Christian the Good, which is an ironic name in that situation. Tyrant, or Reformer, the Danish king behind the Stockholm bloodbath. That guy, full tyrant, just so let's see. Tyrant, The Tenets of Slaughter. It's a good book on that. A lot of stuff on the, in general. But full tyrant. This is full tyrant, guys. Full tyrant. It's in caps. Full tyrant. This is like Slobodan Milosevic meets Pol Pot meets Genghis fucking Khan at Hitler's German-Austrian camp, where he would hang out with his dogs and get a handy from Mussolini while they dreamt up tyrannical things. Full tyrant. Here we go.
So the vaccine mandate, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals put a stay on.
Tells businesses to obey mandate, despite court ruling.
Biden's unconstitutional, immoral, unethical, anti-scientific vaccine mandate. The Fifth Circuit said.
Well, the science that it's against is overpopulation, depopulation schemes.
Stop. There are grave constitutional concerns here. Got it? Grave is their word, not mine. Here's an article by CNBC. I thought Trump was the tyrant, folks. White House tells businesses
to proceed with vaccine mandate despite court-ordered pause. Tells them? Okay. What did it entail? Was it at the barrel of a gun?
Proceed with vaccine mandate despite court-ordered pause. You notice how the left always accuses you, the right, of what they're doing?
Well, it would be a show don't tell kind of a situation, I guess. I was thirsty.
Here's another one. Here's this clown Malcolm Nance. I unfortunately wound up in a bus with this guy headed back from Politicon where he embarrassed himself.
And yes, this is genuinely seditious. This is fucked up. And Malcolm's right. Let's hear him defend this. These people are animals. They are savages. They are eager to punish you and destroy you. It is time for mass civil disobedience on a scale we haven't seen. They can't come for all of us at the same time. There are more of us than them.
My wife and told me and my wife that he has spoken to every black voter in the United States. And when we doubled down and laughed at him, he insisted it was true. He's been accused of stolen valor as well. But Malcolm Nance tweeted out, when I had mentioned to people that it's time for civil disobedience on a mass scale because these animals.
because they are animals, they are savages, they are eager to punish you and destroy you. So what's your answer to, what's the civil disobedience version of that? Civil war is effectively what you're calling for.
Coming after you and trying to bankrupt you and hurt your kids, and they want you to do things antithetical to medical advice. This is grotesque behavior. Malcolm Nance said, now this is sedition. But it's funny, you don't hear anything from Malcolm Nance and others who accuse Trump and people like me of being a tyrant when Biden says, throw the Constitution out the window, the courts have spoken, and we're not going to listen to the courts. We're going to move ahead with the vaccine mandates instead. So I'm going to say.
Well, again, he didn't say throw the Constitution out the window. I mean, you're going to quote him, put the quote up, asshole. That's a quote of what you fucking said. You loser. You simp. You moron. You phony.
Something here. If Biden wants to ignore the Constitution, if he wants to ignore the law, he wants to ignore process, he wants to ignore science, morality, and ethics, then you should ignore him.
Where's the morality and ethics of this? Why is saving lives immoral? Obviously, you believe in culling the herd. You think that a portion of your fellow Americans are animals and savages because they want an infrastructure bill, and therefore you believe because they're trying to destroy you with universal pre-K and the option for 2 years of community college, that because they are doing that, that makes them animals and savages. And what do you do with animals and savages? You put them down, of course, in a civil way, because they're not really people.
I am now going to quadruple down on my ask that you engage here in mass civil disobedience against.
Like what? Don't go eat out?
It's clearly unconstitutional, immoral, unethical vaccine mandate.
Immoral, by the way. That's something the tech giants, the tech oligarchs do this. It's immoral.
That could, in some cases, depending on your medical condition and your discussions with your doctor, could in some cases actually harm people.
Government! Do not flee!
Do not flee. This is the perfect.
What the fuck? Dude, trigger your own sound effects. We don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Medical condition and your discussions with your doctor could in some cases actually harm people.
Government! Do not flee!
Do not flee. This is the perfect. Yes, for those of you who miss Braveheart, this is not the time to turn and run. This is the time to double down.
Shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? This is not prima nocta, you asshole. And if you have a medical exemption, you can get one. Everybody who has a medical exemption in this situation can simply get tested and continue to work. What the fuck are you talking about? This is immoral. You're a liar. You're lying. This is a lie. You are lying. Anybody who has a medical reason why they can't get the vaccine can simply get tested. It's never been a vaccine mandate. It's always been a testing mandate because we're trying to stop the spread of a disease. And if you have a medical problem that would make it inadvisable for you to get this particular vaccine right away based on whatever fucking information you're saying, because the mRNA vaccine might attack your system, where they get that information is a big fucking question to start with. But even if you did, even if you get that, even if you can, and your doctor says, yeah, that's not advisable for you, that's plenty. Then just get tested, you prick. Maybe you don't give a fuck about your own health, but this is about the health of other people, including, by the way, the people who have a medical situation where they can't get the goddamn vaccine. By the way, he's vaccinated. This is so fucking dumb. The reason you get vaccinated is because there might be these people he's talking about who can't get vaccinated because they have a genuine medical reason why the vaccine might have a bad interaction with them. Where they're getting that information from and whether it's true or not, I'm mildly dubious, but it doesn't fucking matter. If they can get the note and that's what their doctor says, so be it, move on. But they need to get tested in case they bring it into the workplace. And I certainly, if I'm vaccinated or not vaccinated, I need to get tested, so I'm not bringing it to them because they already have enough medical fucking problems to start with. What a piece of shit.
Stop, man. Do not.
Oh, stop. Shut the fuck up. Stop quoting Braveheart. There is zero physical difference between you and I right now in this moment. We're both talking into microphones with a bunch of screens in front of us. The only difference is that aside from our dear CSL who sends me clips because I don't want to have to look at them ahead of time because I want to show off how witty I am, I'm by myself in this fucking situation. I don't have to go to the producer and go, right? Am I right? Am I wrong? That's not right. That's not right. That's not right. Whatever. Anyways, doesn't matter if I'm right anyways. Fuck it. Let's just keep talking.
Please. Just
Real seriously. We might need another intervention, guys. Can you guys fly in? We've got a fading man right here. Yeah. His voice wasn't that manly to begin with, and now it's something terrible is happening inside this guy.
It's time to double down. The country has a...
Shut the fuck up, double down. It's time to double down because you lost your radio show and now you've retreated to a fucking podcast. Eat a bag of frog assholes, you loser. It's not our fault you lost your fucking job.
Storied, celebrated history of civil disobedience against unconstitutional, immoral, unethical laws. It is the left...
Immoral? I thought that was a mistake the first time. Immoral. It starts with an I, dipshit. Immoral.
Is violating process and procedure. It is not you. If the left is going to engage in unconstitutional, clearly unconstitutional behavior, like you're seeing reported right now, you have no obligation to...
Like fucking what? What is it? What's the clearly unconstitutional part? The testing or the vaccine? Because you don't have to get the vaccine. You just have to get tested.
Whatsoever. The Constitution is our governing document, not the words of the rotting bag of bones.
Yes, provide for the common welfare. Go. Anything? No? You think he could rap for an entire podcast on that, on provide for the common welfare? No?
The White House, the Pino, president in name only.
The Pino. No, he's got a title. He legally is the president, dum-dum.
But remember, folks, Trump's the tyrant, right?
Well, no. He's a former microblogger who's golfing his life away. Who's fading into obscurity after an ineffectual presidency, where he skated on the achievements of the previous administration and the economy recovering from the 2008 recession, and then he screwed the pooch by getting rid of a pandemic response team, and then he wants everybody to act like what happened with COVID was not his fault at all. When, by the way, he would have won if he'd have simply said, this is bad. We're going to have to lock it down, but I'm the guy that guides you through it. Trump's a loser. He's always been a loser.
Here's a protest yesterday in Los Angeles. Do you notice these protests are picking up in New York and Los Angeles? Bastions of far leftism? You think the left would catch on and say, Houston, we've got a problem here.
Yeah, in cities of 7 million people, there's like 300 that show up someplace. Yeah, I'm totally going to change my political beliefs and my concepts about taking care of my fellow man because of in a city of 7 million people, 300 lunatics show up and queuing on a corner in Beverly Hills.
We've got these core areas of liberal support in New York City and Los Angeles, and these appear to be the population centers where the protests are erupting the most. But no.
It's funny how in those places people feel free to protest, whereas if a similar inverted protest of liberals or something happens in a place like Houston, they fear gunfire. Maybe it's because democracy works better in our cities. Maybe it's because we allow for that, as loony as it is. Whereas you guys want to run the Biden-Harris bus off the fucking freeway. So why would anybody dare do that? Unless it's look at the death threats that came to the AIDS marches, the AIDS walk, and Pride parades in Texas for years.
Tyrants never want to recognize a problem. They just want to crush it. Here's a protest in L.A. County yesterday over these immoral, unethical, unscientific vaccine mandates. Check this out.
We are over Grand Park in downtown Los Angeles, right across from City Hall, and we see a large group gathering and more people coming here,
anti-vax protesters. Yeah, it's overwhelming, guys. It's how do you even push back against that in a city of 7 million fucking people, and God knows how many of those are from outside the city? Yeah, you're right. You know, they can't even cover the fucking grass at Grant Park. But I'm supposed to change my name. Yeah, I'd give it, I'm thinking 300, 350. No, it's all scattered. This is all patchy. Look at this shit. They're not even gathered together. There's big gaps in this stuff, even in the front. Nothing up here. Nothing, like, there's trees here, so there might be some people under here. This is all loose. Look at this. People aren't jammed in here. There's nothing fucking back here. There's nothing over on the other side of the street. Like, who gives a fuck? Do you know how many people have gathered in this area for all kinds of rotten shit? Who cares? Yeah, half are news people.
There's a rally against mandatory vaccinations, law enforcement, firefighters. We've seen a lot of...
Yeah, look at that. There's plenty of elbow room in this crowd. My goodness. Look at that. There's some grass. There's some grass. There's some grass. Here's some grass. Yeah, I mean,
no forced vaccinations, stop the mandate. Of course, one of the things they're concerned about is December 18th of this year is a deadline for those vaccinations for city employees.
Yeah, I caught that too. Guy says, notice how they frame it. You hear it, Joe? We see a crowd of anti-vaxxers. There's no, that's just simply made up. That's a nonsense media narrative. Again, the media.
No, hey, asshat, go there. Hold on. Let's see. See. Where's the one? Let's see. News. Let's see. There was the groups rally against early. Okay, groups rally against early COVID-19. Right? Let's see if they have. There you go. COVID-19 vaccine makers are exempt from responsibility. Let's see if this comes in. It's going to be an ad first, isn't it? Yeah. So give me 1 second while the ad plays, and we'll come back to that. Remember, guys, they're not anti-vax. They're anti-tyranny. That's why they're there. It has nothing to do with the vaccine. That's all a red herring. They're all just trying to control people. It isn't that they're against, vaccines known cause seizures. Encephalitis. Our bodies, our choice. Pitchforks. Uses risky new mRNA technology. COVID-19. There you go. That's the Santa Monica rally. Same fuckers, by the way. Man said there's a dueling vaccine protest. The Moderna vax killed my father. Rip RGAB. No jab, no job, question marks. There's tyranny. There's your tyranny one. My body, my choice. Yep. Guys, it's just, you have to understand, this isn't about, this is just about tyranny. He always gets that kind of look on his face. It's quite telling.
Oh, God. Sorry. I farted.
Okay.
See, nobody listens to these buffoons anyway. They're not anti-vaxxers. They're anti-mandate. Those are...
No, they're anti-vaxxers. They're also anti-mandate, if that makes you feel better, but they're anti-mandate because they're anti-vax. Fuck off. There's not a bunch of people down there who are going, I need a medical exemption because I've got this skin rash thing and my doctor thinks it's not a good idea.
Completely different things. You can support the idea that vaccination in many cases may be necessary while simultaneously supporting the case that it's an individual decision that shouldn't be mandated by a government that has no power to do.
Well, that's why you can get tested.
The media, they get it. I know the media they're just liars. The media, the guy saying that knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's framing it a certain way to make you all.
No, you know what you're doing by lying about the people that are in that gathering, making it some sort of pro-Trump patriot march instead of the QAnon anti-vax adrenochrome they're scooping up. They're making children milkshakes and injecting us with RFID chips that look like octopus.
Seem like the lunatics because he's part of the tyranny. That's what they are, the anti-vaxxers. You've interviewed them all? Like Malcolm Nance said he interviewed, he's met every black voter in the United States. You've interviewed everybody down there? They all told you, I am anti-vaccine. I guarantee you almost nobody told you that. You didn't interview anyone and you just made it up.
And you didn't even look. You looked at aerial footage and didn't bother to look at the actual pictures on the ground where they're holding up a bunch of signs about the vaccine.
You just heard.
That's it. That's the bailout. That's it. That's all.
Nobody told you that. You didn't interview anyone and you just made it up.
And by the way, for the record, in case you're wondering, Dan Bongino didn't interview anyone at that gathering and just made it up. For the record. All right, now, we know, when it comes to certain kind of, you ever know that, like that, I didn't even do this freeze frame, and it's quite telling, I think. Don't forget to like and subscribe, by the way. Look, me resetting. Hey, welcome to the show, Hal Sparks Megaworldwide. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We have a thumbs up. If you're on Twitch, subscribe. Subscribe today. And if you're already subscribed, you can gift subscriptions to some people, as our dear Stargal has done, and Tony has done, and Shadow. Hold on one second. Let me open this up. Boom. Tony from Ireland and Shadow Woman, thank you so much. Stargal, Tony from Ireland, Shadow Woman, Norman Fox, thank you. Jay, thank you. Ninka Crinkles, Daniel, thank you for doing that. Moms Russo, thank you, bless you. Granty Boy, Bahoy, 1888, thank you for gifting that sub. So there you go. I appreciate it. And then, of course, Super Chat's a great way to support the show. You can become a patron. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Look at me being all professional before each clip. I feel like I have to do this because you might check out as soon as I show you this face. Why? You know how they, sometimes we'll freeze frame on something and it'll give you kind of a view about how someone feels internally. This is a man afraid. This is their freeze frame. This isn't even mine. This is where they, and this is his show he's trying to pitch to Newsmax and they didn't take it. So he just does it as a podcast now. And Steve Bannon's producer works on it. But he's on Bannon's War Room, and which the overlap there is just gorgeous. And by the way, wait till they get Steve Bannon's communications, because there's no frigging way this douchebag doesn't have a shit ton of back and forths. Yeah. Trump should not raise money for the NRCC. Finally, something I agree with Matt Gaetz on. Yes. Trump should just take all the money Republicans are giving him and keep it. Piss it away. Spend it on his properties, because that's what he's doing. And every dime somebody gives to Donald Trump is another dime that isn't given to elect Republicans next year. And cash is pretty zero sum. So, yeah, here we go.
Congressman Matt Gaetz. Congressman, there was a...
This is like after interviewing before.
Amazing dinner last night. Donald Trump threw down hard all day long. Mainstream media has been saying, hey, they're not going after the 6th January guys hard enough. They're not doing this. But there's talk about stripping the 13 Republican, basically, collaborationists.
Yeah, there's definitely talk of that. Yeah, talk about that, please. I don't know how to feel about this. It's hard not to interrupt it even. Yes, go ahead.
In Congress that voted for Nancy Pelosi's infrastructure bill and Joe Biden's infrastructure bill, strip them of their committee assignments. Can you give us an update?
Well, Steve, all of the good that Virginia voters did in rejecting Terry McAuliffe was undone by Republicans who let Nancy Pelosi off the hook. We had Democrats on the ropes because of a schism.
By the way, by on the ropes, he means some of the communities in Wyoming and Idaho still have bridges made out of rope.
Pelosi and the squad, she did not have the votes to move this bill. And the interview you had with Mark Meadows.
Yeah, by the way, yeah, she did. The only reason that the squad opted out was because they knew the votes were there from the Republicans. If those votes weren't there for the Republicans, the squad would have voted for it. It was a protest vote. It was completely impotent, but still.
Morning is now sending shockwaves through the Republican conference because, as he typically does, Mark Meadows identified the correct remedy. The Republicans who hold positions of leadership on committees or subcommittees must lose those positions of leadership for having advanced the Biden agenda. We had Joe Biden dead in his tracks. He would have been a lame.
Yeah, you didn't. You didn't, though. You didn't. It was going to pass. See, it wasn't that the squad, if the Republicans hadn't voted, the squad also wouldn't have voted, and therefore it wouldn't have passed. That's not how it works. It was never how it was going to work. They had enough Republicans who were going to vote on it because they knew it was going to pass, and they didn't want to have to run against the infrastructure bill in their district. That's why they voted for it. Now, you would expect someone who works at that place to know those things. But, this is a guy, he's nowhere near Washington most of the time. He's usually, dosing underage girls allegedly with ecstasy in hotel rooms with his buddy who's on trial for sex trafficking, in a state other than the state the girl has an ID from. So I can understand it would be confused about the rules and voting procedure.
Duck president, the earliest lame duck president probably in America's history, but now because of those 13 Republicans, we have a divided party. And frankly, as much as I love the fact that the president told the truth down there at the NRCC, he shouldn't even have gone. I love President Trump, but he should not be helping the NRCC raise money. That money then ends.
Yes, thank you. Trump, I know you see the show occasionally through your kid, usually only when I fuck with him and make fun of him, and the clip gets passed around your house because all the rest of the family laughs at Don Jr. or Eric. And by the way, there's no differentiation. Whenever I've made an Eric clip, I know for a fact that Don Jr. has watched it and laughed at his brother. And every time I make one about Don Jr., Eric watches it and laughs. And that's just how that family is. I get it. So if somebody passes this on to the old man, you should, and he sees that, you should follow Matt Gaetz's advice. Please do what he says. Please. Don't help.
In the campaign accounts of the people who voted to impeach him, I think that there's a lot of swamp left to be drained in the Republican conference, and Meadows identified the remedy. They have to lose their committee assignments.
Hype Train, level 2 Hype Train. It's coming in right now on Twitch right now. Join in, give it the bits and the butts and the stuff and the subscriptions and do that and help us out. We're trying to get to that 1,000 mark in subscriptions. It's very hard. It's very difficult on Twitch to do it. It's very difficult because you have to consistently do it, and it's a lot, and it's a thing, and if we ever have any chance of getting up into that upper echelon, that's how we're going to do it. Please help.
Committee leadership.
Matt, Congressman, do me a favor, because this is one of the reasons the audience loves you. You take these complicated topics and break it down. What was
yes. You're great at taking something complicated, oversimplifying it, and talking out of your ass.
Here's what people can't understand. How can President Trump be raising money and that money goes to some committee apparatus that then farms it out to the very people that are voting against what we're trying to accomplish. How does that work?
Well, it works because most of the time those people will shit all over anything a Democrat floats up unless it actually helps the country in an obvious way, like an infrastructure bill. And you have a choice in those kind of districts, because they're swing districts, that you'll end up with a Democrat in that area if these assholes voted against it, and they know that full well. But the nice thing is even though you know that reality and you're aware of that reality, you're going to hang them out to dry and basically turn one of those 13 districts into a Democratic district next time. So,
President Trump ought to have more command over his brand and not allow the NRCC to be able to use it to raise money for people who voted to impeach President Trump. President Trump usually has very tight control over his brand. I have no idea why he's allowing.
Yeah, it's almost like there's even been stories about let's see. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see if I can find. Let's just do footage on that.
A sign of change.
Hold on. Yeah, usually has much stronger
The West
control
Side,
over it.
the Trump name was removed from a building on Riverside Boulevard between 69th and 70th Streets. Our cameras were there as the T was taken off the building. That's the former Trump Place condo building, and according to the New York.
Yeah, usually he has real control over his brand. He's had such great effect on his brand lately. He really just, that's a
NRCC to use his name. And by the way, Politico did an expose on the fact that, like, the NRCC will send out these messages that say that you're a traitor to Trump if you don't immediately give $5 to them. And yet a lot of that money is ending up right in the hands of the people who we fight against, who fight along.
But by the way, for the record, this is how we're all finding out that the NRCC is not giving any funding to Matt Gaetz because of his legal problems. That's... Push away, if you can, all the bullshit and obfuscation that Steve Bannon and Matt Gaetz are trying to seed into your brain, that this has anything to do with Trump, that this has anything to do with infrastructure, that this has anything to do with infighting in the Republican Party or January 6th. Push all that away. Just don't let go. Just decouple that from your thinking and recognize that there is a single reason why Matt Gaetz is attacking the NRCC. It's because they are no longer giving him money because he's in deep shit and they don't want to fund somebody who's probably going to jail. That's what all of this is about. This whole clip is just him getting revenge on the NRCC because they are cutting him loose because they would be stupid not to. Hype train level 4 almost coming in. We're almost at a number 5 hype train. It's very exciting. The whole thing's very exciting. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. 740 subscribers, on our way to 1,000. Eventually, I swear, we'll get there. We were down below 700. Now we're back up to 740. I can't thank you guys enough. Very exciting. Okay.
Nancy Pelosi. Now, Steve, here's how people need to think about Republicans in the 117th Congress. There have been 5.
Yes, here it goes. They should barf. No, that's not. He's not going to say that. How should they think about Republicans in the 170th Congress? Ineffective road bumps, meaningless, useless eaters. Is that a good phrase?
Votes that have really mattered, that show what we believe and how we will fight. The impeachment vote, the creation of the January 6th committee.
There have been 5 key votes in that. Creating the J6, removing MTG. Yeah, that's the third one is really the anchor. Contempt vote on Steve Bannon. Yeah, what an ass kisser. By the way, Steve Bannon's producer for the War Room and a couple other staff members work with Matt Gaetz' staff to put together his little podcast he does when he's not legislating, because he doesn't. What bills has Matt Gaetz introduced? What amendments? Where's the Matt Gaetz amendment to whatever? Nothing. Fucking nothing. Thank you, Lisa.
Whether or not to remove Marjorie Taylor Greene from
we're so close to the level 5 hype train on Twitch. It's so exciting. It's so exciting when it happens.
the Steve Bannon contempt vote, and the Biden infrastructure bill. Those 5 votes could together show what we're willing to fight against, and perhaps more importantly, how we view the fight. We have to combat these people every single level. We have to be the opposition to an agenda.
Hi, dumbass. Woo, we got to the level 5 hype train. I'm so excited. That's great. Thanks, guys. That's awesome. Hurrah. Push it real good. Okay, so can I just say for a second, real quick, let me pull this back, that I can understand how they think this is a top line thing, right? This is how Republicans would, go on that. Okay. Because of their criminal endeavors, I can see how this is top line. Both of these are just bullshit, ineffectual. She wasn't doing anything on committees anyways. It's mostly just like bragging rights. The idea that this part, the contempt vote on Steve Bannon, the fact that they would layer this in with these two things is insane. And then this week's infrastructure bill, which is actual legislation. Like, this is the only fucking thing in here that even remotely gets close to the normal, effective, like, productive work of Congress. It's the only part of it. Number 5 is the only one that matters in all of this shit in terms of the long-term health of the country. And yet, voting for infrastructure to them is the equivalent of voting against Trump in the impeachment. 25 cents, please. Yes. Thank you. Just like...
level. We have to be the opposition to an agenda that is crushing our people. Every problem that Joe Biden has created over the last 10 months gets worse on this march to socialism. The gas prices get more expensive.
By the way, this march to socialism, which has nothing to do with I know they believe this about the Build Back Better plan, but it certainly has nothing to do with the infrastructure bill. Fucking nothing. Nothing. There is nothing that qualifies in this area. That's why so many Republicans voted for it in the Senate and in the House. It's why it was guaranteed to pass. And that was the concern with the squad, that it was, of course, going to pass. It's a bipartisan infrastructure bill.
The supply chain issues become more complicated, and the inflation continues.
How does supply chain become more complicated because we have better ports? None of this makes any fucking sense.
Crush people who have worked all of their lives. And if we can't even remove John Katko as the head of the Republican team on the home...
Yeah, you can't. Sorry. You can't remove him. Sorry. No. Seniority, he's good. Yeah. Nope. Not going to happen. Good luck with that, though.
Security Committee from that position, then we're not really serious about the fight. I mean, this is a guy McCarthy designated to go and negotiate against Benny Thompson, and instead he got Stockholm Syndrome. He got sympathetic with his captor. He rolled over for Thompson. He stabbed the Republicans in the back. Now we have this totally out of control, just...
I'm sorry. Am I the only person craving popcorn right now?
For a constitutional January 6th committee to deal with. And, frankly, if John Katko's 0 for 5 on the Big Five, someone explain to me why we wouldn't just rather have a Democrat in that seat. At least the Democrat wouldn't be so...
I have no problems with this whole exchange. I mean, is there an applause emoji that we can send their way?
The space of the Republican lead on the august Homeland Security Committee.
Mark Meadows started to describe it today, but I don't know if we had enough time to develop it. Do you, Congressman?
Yeah, by the way, no one has enough time to develop anything that Mark Meadows says because it's gibberish from the jump.
Raise money for the NRCC?
I'm strange, I'm different. I'm the only Republican in the entire Congress who takes no lobbyist money, no PAC money, and because the NRCC is functionally a money laundering machine to take money from lobbyists and PACs, use the membership to then deliver that money to the leadership, who then go and redistribute those political funds in order to maintain power, in order to preserve or gain the majority. It's just a corrupt game, and I don't want to play it anymore. I actually wrote about it in my book, Firebrand, which people can still pick up on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Yeah, I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that they don't want to give you money because they know you're going to fucking jail.
Okay, but what Meadows is saying, when you show up as a congressman, they give, if you want certain committees, and particularly more powerful, influential committees, they give you an amount that you have to go raise. You go raise that amount.
Yeah, no, I said I wanted to be on
the committee.
They told me $75,000 within the next 10 days when I wanted my first committee.
Oh, just spilling the Republican tea. Oh, that's so good. And they're like, yeah, if you want to be on the Armed Services Committee, you got to show us you can raise money up to $75K in the next 10 days. And we don't mean for your legal fees. Basically, they were telling him to go pound sand.
Assignment. So, again, as I write, when I knew they were for sale, I paid twice. When I first got here, I gave $150,000 to secure the committee assignments that I wanted. And that's why, in addition to the Armed Services Committee, I got put on the Judiciary Committee because I had double paid.
Oh, shit. Well, all right. So, I'm sorry. I thought you were under the illusion that you were qualified to be on these committees. Turns out, early on in your career, before, you were outed as a pedo-human trafficker who dopes girls before fucking them in a hotel room full of strangers, allegedly, it turns out you were just paying your way onto those things. It makes way more sense now. Seriously, have you heard this drop anywhere? Listen to this shit. How is this not a news clip every time this dickhead wants to get on the goddamn air?
Assignment. So, again, as I write, when I knew they were for sale, I paid twice. When I first got here, I gave $150,000 to secure the committee assignments that I wanted. And that's why, in addition to the Armed Services Committee, I got put on the Judiciary Committee because I had double paid. But committee assignments are regularly bought and sold. The NRCC is the vehicle which allows those corrupt transactions to take place.
Holy shit. I'm going to need to pop some popcorn. This is fucking amazing. Seriously. Is there an exchange in this asshole's life that he doesn't pay for? He pays for sex. He pays for his committee assignments. Christ almighty, has this asshole ever earned anything on merit? What the ever-loving fuck? No, Dems do it largely on seniority.
Why I don't participate in their events. It's why I don't pay dues. It's why I don't do the call sheets that they ask us to do.
Yeah, it's because people hang up on you. It's because you spend too much time trying to raise money for your legal fees. Yeah, it's his dad's money. His dad paid for those committee assignments.
I work for the people, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
So when President Trump goes to the convention center, has this massive dinner, raises all this money, who makes the decision that we know the source of proceeds, that's Trump raising it, the use of proceeds, like how does it get divvied up to the 13, a couple of them are retiring, but let's say the 10 that are still remaining, how does it get divvied up to go back and help their campaigns? Who makes that decision?
Well,
oh, this is going to be so good. I mean, it largely doesn't. There's over 200 people in the House. They're going to go to races that need it the most, especially more often than not. It will be those folks because they're the ones in the swing districts, which is why they're not voting hardline with Trump. And that's starting to ease. And these assholes can't let anybody get off the Trump train because once a few people make for the exits, everybody's going to recognize the fucking thing is crashing and dive out the windows.
Well, the short answer is that the leader makes those decisions. The long answer is that there is a board at the NRCC that rubber stamps what the leader really wants to see in terms of the distribution of those funds.
So in other words, so how can this audience start to influence that being stopped? You know, this posse is always looking for.
Yeah, they can't. They can't, but I'm glad they will. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Yes, people, the War Room posse, you guys should definitely go after the NRCC. They're a bunch of corrupt assholes who are giving money to people who don't deserve it in the Republican Party. And yeah.
Activities that they can put their shoulder to the wheel that have importance or have, impact. What would you recommend to our audience to do about this particular topic?
Sure. Here's what you know about the current Republican conference. We aren't in a position to win with this team if we couldn't even deliver the win that Nancy and Pelosi and the squad had handed to us. And so that increases the importance.
Yeah, they didn't hand you the win, stupid. They only didn't vote for it because they knew the Republicans were voting for it. If there weren't enough Republicans, there were enough Democrats. They would have voted for it to get it through. The only reason they did it as a protest vote is because they knew it was going to pass anyways. It was impotent and stupid, and I don't agree with it, but that's why. As a matter of fact, the fact that the squad didn't vote for it gave those guys even more cover to vote for it. Fucking dumb.
Of the new members of Congress that we are going to get in the upcoming class. And so, Marjorie Taylor Greene and I have both told President Trump, we want to make sure the Congress is better prepared for the second Trump term than we were for the first Trump term. And so we're out there.
Oh, yes, no one was prepared for that. Although you had all the fucking time in the world and you still didn't do shit.
Candidates like Joe Kent, who's a favorite on War Room, Anthony Sabatini in Florida. We're going to be campaigning alongside Graham Allen in South Carolina, running against Tom Rice on November 18th. And, we need donations. Marjorie and I do, because I don't give money to the NRCC. So if people go to MacGates.com, that those funds are going to be used for my reelection or so that I can go and campaign.
Well, you can't be reelected if you're under indictment. So obviously some legal fees.
To get actual backup, so we have people with backbone who will fight. But the fight right now is within the Republican conference to determine what we will tolerate. Because if we will tolerate this dissension from these 13, they'll do it again, and we won't be in a position to govern.
Yes, never. You got to make sure that they vote in lockstep with the leader of the party, for freedom. Because the Republican, the Democrats want socialism. They want collectivism. And the Republicans are the party that believes in individual freedom. That's why you must always vote exactly as we want you to and follow the line. And anyone who steps outside will be punished. Okay?
If the voters do give us the majority.
What? Who is it? Is it him? Was that Chip or Murph? Okay.
Why we've got to reshape just the frame and the nature of the Republican conference. And you were totally right this morning, folks. Have got to go back and watch your interview with Mark Meadows. Meadows showed us through his leadership of the Freedom Caucus how you can actually do it with a small group of dedicated people.
By the way, I call them the Freedom Caucasians for obvious reasons.
You can be a rudder for the ship. You can set a clear course, and we can put ourselves back on a path to winning again.
Well, now, what happens if you have a broken paddle?
How can this posse
on
the stripping of the committees? How can they? Is it call emails to their congressmen? Is it to leadership? Because we can put
fax. I think faxing would be good. Carrier pigeon. Give that a try.
Numbers up and put them in the live chats and across all the forums. What should be done here? Because people are outraged about this, that these 13, Nancy Pelosi at 11 o'clock on Friday night was finished. She was done, right? It was the end of her reign.
No, stupid. No, it was not. It was never. Don't even float that idea. And by the way, I'm glad they are, because they're attacking their own using this. But there's no fucking way. There's no, sorry, if they didn't have the votes from, the squad would have come back and voted for it to get it through if they didn't have the Republican votes. It's just silly. It would have passed. There's more Democrats than Republicans. It's silly. It's just stupid. Who's Bannon's stylist? I think he goes to Old Navy, the original edition, like really Old Navy. Like, y'all know me. You know what I do for a living. Cage goes in the water. You go in the cage. Shark's in the water. Our shark. Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies.
And it was the end of Biden's presidency, and 13 Republicans got him off the hook. So,
not true, but let's all applaud them and make sure that they continue to believe this. Just for the record, it's good stuff.
People to do.
Really, the next thing we need is the Freedom Caucus to take the position that these folks should lose their leadership positions, because that demonstrates really the first critical mass of.
Yeah. If anything, if the Freedom Caucus stands for anything, it's lockstep behavior. So, I mean, it's freedom in air quotes, with a little bunny, fuck you, little bunny, fuck you. The
representatives who could speak to this issue and who could put pressure on the leader to do the right thing. I want Kevin McCarthy to do the right thing to show that this will not be tolerated. Steve, if Nancy Pelosi lost 13 members on a vote like this, you would be identifying the bodies by their dental records. Okay, she would never talk.
Well, no, on the first vote, they didn't have enough to actually pass it, so they pulled it because they would have lost more than that. And then they worked and they actually ended up passing the bill. You're really not this dumb, are you? Yeah, he is. He's that dumb. He's that dumb.
They're in the majority, we're in the minority, and we lost more than twice as many votes as she did. And so I think that shows lack of cohesion with the team. But I do think that strong, swift action that would impose a little discipline on those votes would have a very therapeutic effect throughout the conference. And it might get us back into the posture where when the voters trust us with the majority, we will actually.
By the way, Lynette, I think that bunny icon should be the quotes when we're calling bullshit on something. Like, it should just be little bunny fuck you. Should be the like, we should put bunny ears on either side of it from now on. That's whenever we're doing quotes from now on, when I do stuff, I'm going to put those on there. That's good. And only you guys will get it.
Fight for them and deliver for them instead of having a group that rolls over.
Yeah, it's like the French army in World War I. Real quickly, how did they...
Yeah, it's exactly like the French army in World War I.
Not even whip enough that you had to force the Democrats to get to 218, and then if you want to have a jailbreak, okay, but force them to pass the bill themselves. How could the whip count? How could the whip not even deliver that? We got about a minute.
Yeah, sure. So you're going to love this. The Republican leadership's answer to us is, well, we can't control.
That's right. The freedom. That's exactly right, Bob.
These people, because a lot of them are retiring and they want to go be lobbyists, and so they're already doing the bidding of the lobby corps. But it's a culture that allows that. If these members want to go be lobbyists and have already sold out their constituents in their vote to do that, we should let it be known that they will not be welcome in Republican offices anymore. But it really is driven by K Street, and that's what's so despicable about it.
Unbelievable. Tell us about the podcast, the book, and how do people get to you?
Yeah, I don't give a shit about any of that. I do support 100% them eating their own. Seriously, this is like watching this asshole gnaw his own feet off.
Social media, and also how they get to you on your campaign site.
Yeah, folks can go to MacGates.com, donate, join my team.
They can, but will they?
Allows us to be able to recruit that next generation of fighters as well. My podcast is called.
That's not true, V. Gabriel. That is not fair. V. Gabriel says Matt will not be lobbying. He absolutely will, for cigarettes and Snickers. I'm sure he'll come out with some sort of fair trade.
Firebrand comes out every Thursday morning. It's hot as can be, man. Over 2 million listens.
Hot as can be, man. Over 2 billion downloads.
Rumble just in the last 2 episodes.
By the way, how does Vish get to be like the great producer after he left work? Just kidding. Say hi to Vish.
Hey, you know what? We like him war room, banned and trained in the Gates office.
There you go. That's January 6th committee. There's a little slice of evidence for you, by the way. We like him war room, Bannon trained in the Matt Gaetz community.
Congressman Gaetz, thank you very much. The podcast is Firebrand. The book is Firebrand. You get it on Amazon. Of course, you can get him everywhere on social.
And it makes great kindling.
Media. Congressman Gaetz, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Steve.
Congressman Matt Gaetz.
Oh, it just rolled back through. I'm over time again by 15 minutes. Not so bad. I still never got, sorry. Unfortunately, we could not get to Chris Salcido today. Chris, I'm sorry. We're going to have to punt you some more. I know you're disappointed, but you're just not interesting. Yeah. We'll work on it, though. I will at some point get to this clip of you because it is pathetic and hilarious, but you're not timely. That's the thing. If you want to be on my show, your idiocy has to be kind of based on current events, not your own personal, like, psychobabble and inside broken. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Sorry, I feel like we owe Salcido an apology. Him and Stankfield. Unfortunately, you guys are hilarious and full of shit, but just not, there's no time scale on it, and there's no reason. Anyways. Oh, you've got a chip demand? All right, hold on. I'll see if I can do this. Give me 1 second, and I'll go see if I can find him. Talk amongst yourselves. No swearing. Dum, 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 dum. That's the. I don't have music playing into this thing. I have to fix that at some point. But give me a second. All right. Babe, is Chip around? Here we come. Hi, buddy. Here we come. Look who's here. Look who it is. Look who it is. Look who's here. Look who's here. Big Chip. Hi, Big Chip. What's going on? There he is. Big old Chip. How you doing, buddy? You okay? He was sort of sleepy. Yeah. There he is. Hello, buddy. There he is. Hi. Oh, thanks. Are you hungry? Is that how you're telling me you're hungry? Yeah? Yeah. Hi. There he is. Right? It's a good way to end the show. Oh, he's going to fall asleep on my arm. I'm going to keep scratching him. He's going to pass out. And I'm going to be stuck. Yeah, you are. That's right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. Otherwise, you're starving Chip to death. Oh, no. He's like, what? He's like, doing what? No pressure. But, poor Chip. Sorry, Chip. They want you to starve. Those bastards. All the entertainment I give them. And they can't even subscribe. I don't think it's the little things that count. Right? That's right. Thanks. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Oh, by the way, tomorrow's show, because it's Thursday, is at 4 o'clock. It's in the afternoon. It's an hour later. Just to remind everybody. Okay, bye. Because I got family FaceTime at 3. So I move it an hour later on Thursdays. That's a running thing. Okay, bye.